Okay, so look, if
Uh,
you had to come up with $10,000 in 2 days, 48
mhm,
hours, what would you
mhm.
do to get that money?
Oh, I'm straight up consulting. I'm hitting up a short list of people and asking them what they need help with. I'm gonna try to get the whole 10 off one. But if I gotta break it down to, two from five or whatever the case may be, I'm doing that immediately. And that's just leveraging, skills that I already do, whether it's grant writing or making connections or doing a project for somebody to get the outcome that they want. I'm straight up using my skills to do that. At worst case, I go out here, landscape a yard or something. You know what I mean? Like
Okay. You ain't too
whatever.
proud to put that lawnmower
No,
out.
man, our people use their hands. A lot of people out here don't like to
Yeah.
use their hands, so I'm gonna go get that 10.
Quick funny story. When AJ was a kid, he used to mow the grass with a manual lawnmower. So not the one where it's gas powered that you got to push. Do you remember
Hey,
this? I swear you used to be pushing a lawnmower where the blades would spin to cut the grass.
yeah, I mean, I
It
think
wasn't. Did you do
at
that?
that age, yeah, at that age, I was just more so curious of a non-motorized lawnmower, so I thought it probably more fun than anything that people used to actually cut grass like that. But our grandma got out in the yard and she did her own yard work if grandpa was
Yep.
building and stuff. So like, yeah. Then my grandfather on my dad's side, like, in order to make the movie money on the weekend, got to wash Cadillacs and pull weeds and lay mulch and all that good stuff. You had to earn that money. Then that little $20.
Yes. AJ been
he
working
really
since he was a kid.
Hey, look, he really got $50 worth of work out of you for 20, but I couldn't
Yeah.
negotiate at that point because I ain't had too many more places to go get that 20 at the
You
time.
needed the money. Lack of
Uh,
opportunity to get money from other places at that
yeah, I wish
time.
I had some better examples for your game right now, but it's cool.
Now let's transition and talk about your 9 to 5, which is working in government. What are your key roles and
Yes.
responsibilities?
So I've been in government for 7.5 years. Unique to the space is being in government in the area that you kind of grew up in. Most government administrators, personnel are imported or brought in to serve government. So my experience in government has been unique because to your point of some of the things we touched on, I'm an entrepreneur outside of work, but then I have the business acumen, the traditional education to be effective as a public administrator. So I've worked in risk management, which is pretty much the insurance division of the city, the city government, local government, as far as where workers' compensation is handled, liability insurance, or small claims. So if you hit a pothole, if a tree fall on your car, you'll typically file a claim with your local municipality for damages. So I've worked in that avenue of the city, and then we've also handled like lawsuits. So our office paid out those checks. So from there, promoted to business developer, and the reason I think for that promotion was just simply I'm in the business community from an entrepreneurial standpoint as well. So it was very seamless of a transition to go from handling insurance to advocating for businesses. So what I do is I manage our Equal Business Opportunities program. Underneath that is business certifications and bid discounts. And what that means is we have our own certification for small local minority woman owned companies. And with that, it gives a bid discount. So the bid discount is, say that a company is looking to supply the organization with over $10,000 worth of work. We will provide a discount if they're certified through our business certification. So the max that they could get in discount is 5%. Best example, if you have $100,000 bid that you're submitting and you're enrolled in our business certification program, we can discount that from $100,000 to $95,000. And what I mean by discount is municipal organizations typically look for the cheapest price tag, but the best quality of service when it's coming from an outside vendor. So with that certification, we provide the discount of 5% or 5,000. So your original bid that you submitted is 100. We just review it at 95, but we still pay you the 100. And if you read at 95 and your competitors read at 98 or 101, you're the lowest bidder in that regard. So then from there, the bid discount has now positioned you to have a competitive advantage over other businesses that's bidding in efforts to increase more utilization of those companies in the certification program. So a lot of my work is increasing government spend with local city, county, state-based businesses in efforts to keep the dollars local. The more that you spend locally in your community, the more dollars that get recycled. If you're investing in a vendor who lives in your jurisdiction, Typically, that vendor is going to hire more people from the area, pay more income tax, so the municipality gets more money. So we want to always try to keep the dollars as local as possible in efforts to increase more jobs, increase more income tax revenue from the municipality, in efforts to and create more revenue for the organization.
So, what is the most valuable thing you learned working in government?
Politics is real. Unfortunately, inequities in government are decades, centuries of practice. And if the organization isn't intentional about providing equity, it's really a system. It's a machine. There's so many different parts of the machine that government typically expects citizens to know how this machine works. Most citizens don't. Those who learn how the machine works are able to leverage it in a way for government to do what it was designed to do, especially for people that look like us. Well, I noticed it in both roles, but one area that is really evident is either the small claims process, right? So if you have a tree in front of your house and it drops one branch and you say, man, that branch could have hit my car. If you don't know to call and tell the local municipality that, hey, I got a tree that y'all own, not that I own, because liability is based upon what's in the right of way, and the right of way is the space between the sidewalk and the street. Government owns that. So the tree that's in between there is a government tree. If that tree falls on the car, that's the city, the county, the whoever tree is the municipality. So if you don't know to call and make the government or the municipality aware that, hey, I need this tree to be pruned, when that branch falls on your car, and say, it could have been a big branch that cost over $5,000-$10,000 in damages, the municipality won't be liable. So when you go to file that claim, they're going to say, you never told us about this. It's a term called governmental immunity. I encourage all your audience to research governmental immunity. And pretty much what that means is government can't be liable for anything government didn't know anything about. I encourage everybody, whether you think you're small, petty, call and put it on record, notify your local government so they can address it. Because in the instance that it goes south and it's costing you money, now you have the track record, the written documentation that say, hey, I told y'all about this. Y'all didn't address it. Y'all liable. So I would say the biggest thing that I've noticed is people that look like us have no clue about the process. And then if you go over to the business end, some companies have no clue how to bid. It's kind of hard to win a bid if you don't know how to bid. And a lot of municipalities aren't going the extra step to teach people how to bid. And I could think of a variety of reasons that that's the case. Maybe the organization doesn't have a ton of staff. So when you think about hours in a day or, being a priority, they don't make it a priority.
You said a lot of people don't know how to bid. How would a person learn that process? Is it just information that's on the website? Do they need to show up at a meeting?
Here's a gem I could give for anybody who's looking to provide vendor service to government. Any bid or contracts that are awarded through local, state, county government, you could FOIA it, Freedom of Information Act. You could ask for the documents that the winning organization submitted. You take those documents and you compare them to yours. You figure out what you're missing, what they have that you don't have, the price point. Then you try to resubmit the next time to be competitive with that person who won. And that right there, I should be charging money for, but for you, we're going to give it on out there. If anybody needs a little bit more, a little more hand-holding through that process, please feel free to reach out. You figure out who won it, how they won it, and then you want to customize yours.
Well, thank you for that, Jim. That's the benefit to watching the Currency Club. That's the benefit to subscribing to the channel. You get this insider information that you might have to pay for elsewhere. So thank you for that.
And a lot of people have the stigma of government, hesitant to do work for government. I would really encourage your audience, especially those who provide professional goods and services, construction contractors, like really explore local, state, federal government opportunities. So one thing about government, they pay well in regards to the projects that they're on, so that they bid out. So then your margins from a business standpoint, those will be some of the best margins that you'll have. And it's another revenue stream, right? So whatever you're doing right now, some people build businesses solely to provide government services. I think that's an opportunity to the audience, that sometimes you have to build something specifically for one entity or public sector. In general, you can make really good money.
Government work, I feel like there's two sides to it. There's the one side where there's the stigma. I got to jump through hoops. I got to be under the public eye. But then the other side is, that's a good job. it has a great pension plan. It's a great
Mhm.
salary. I need this for me and my family. Like there's both
Mhm.
sides of it. What is it
Yeah.
like working for government?
I have had a great experience working for government. I think, in any organization, you'll have things that you would have liked to see go differently. But when I'm talking about my personal experience, I've been empowered. I've been put in position, per se, to speak to policy right, to help create change on a larger scale that's more equitable. I've seen others who look like us who come in and don't have the same experience. Then you have to say why. Public sector work is politics. So anybody who's in politics understand what a good inside outside game means. I have allies on the inside and I have allies on the outside. Yeah, it's very tough to mistreat me on the inside if they know I have support on the outside. From outsiders, sometimes you get residents, business owners who have their own issues and may want to complain about you publicly. Then, that's where your inside allies, come into play to speak to your work from an organizational standpoint, to say, well, I've never seen him conduct himself in that way. One way to always, cover your end is to make sure that you have it in writing. I've learned very early on in my career, I had a great mentor. She just say CYA, cover your ass. Cover your ass means you have it in writing. You could defend it publicly. Whatever made up story or theory is going on, you could counter it with facts that are in writing.
All right. So beyond your inside outside strategy and CYA strategy, do you have any other tips to help a person be successful working in government?
Don't assume anybody's a friend. Sabotaging is real in government because you have the community who wants to keep it status quo because they're benefiting from the status quo. You have to be aware that everybody's not working for the same end goal. And then you have to learn the organization, right? Like you have to look at the org chart and who's responsible for what. You have to know what lever to pull for the result that you're looking to get. I would definitely say research the org structure, then develop relationships within the levers that you may foresee that you need. So then when you go to that department head, that commissioner, the city manager, county administrator, whoever that CEO or of your organization is, you know what they could do and you know how they need to do it to get it done, because nothing worse than having ideas or solutions but no way of getting them done, especially in government. You're already kind of spread thin for talent. You're spread thin from a budget perspective. So when you get some time and the space to get in front of decision makers, you have to have the plan flushed out for the most part in order to get it adopted and implemented pretty quickly.
All right, all of those were good tips. I want to stay on this tip bandwagon and talk about other
Mhm.
tips for success. AJ talked about networking at several points throughout this interview. What is your number one tip for networking?
Find commonality. No matter who I'm talking to, I always start super general. What's up? How was your day? From there, if I don't know you for the first time, I start asking questions like, what's some hobbies that you're into? Do you have kids? And typically out of, some of those preliminary questions, I find a theme that I could ride. And then from that theme, we dive deep into that. And then if I throw my psychology hat on, people love to talk about themselves. What you do is you let them talk about themselves. 48 laws of power, you start to understand the value of networking and utilizing some of those tools. So when it comes to networking, I try to find a theme, but I let people talk. And typically people will tell you anything you want to know if they feel comfortable talking to you. When I have to articulate a response back that may be deemed combative, challenging, it's all about how you word it. Instead of me saying, why you think that way? It's kind of like, help me understand how you arrived to that. And then
Literally said that in my head because that's the language I used to. Help me understand
yeah,
how you
you in
came
the
to that
D and
conclusion.
you in the D and I space, you know what it is. So help me
Mhm.
understand. Then it's more of a softer way of still saying why you say that, but it allows them not to feel attacked, remain comfortable, and then they're gonna tell
Mhm.
you exactly why they feel that way, or create a better understanding. And then from there, you could begin to kind of dive deeper. So when it comes to networking, I feel as if being relatable. I'm not sure if you talk to your audience about strength finders, personality assessments, but one of my strengths is a relator, right? So there's very few people I could sit across from that I can't find a way to relate. Some people, no matter if they were brought up in rural America, you know how our family is. We've been going to the country all our life, so you can't bring up hunting or agriculture or, being in a rural environment, and I can't find something in that I could relate to. I think also I have unique experiences that on a variety of spectrums. So it
Hmm.
just allows me to have the confidence to talk about a variety of issues. And whenever networking, I try to avoid, the critical things that typically turn people off, whether it's religion or their personal politics, unless it's a political discussion. But for the most part, if you're going out here to get money with somebody, I hate to use this or say it this way, but when Michael Jordan got crucified for saying Republicans buy sneakers too, what he's saying is his market is global. His market is across Democratic or Republican politics. He's able to do business with both sides. Too many times in America, we try to do this party line thing. But the reality of it is, especially for people that look like us, neither party is going to best represent us. You have to figure out how to leverage both parties.
What you shared at the very end makes me think about an interview that I watched yesterday on YouTube where Byron Allen said, we don't just do business in our neighborhood, we do
Yeah,
business
yeah,
in every neighborhood. Like we're not
yeah,
in the Negro leagues, we're in a
yeah.
global league. So you
hmm
just got to think
hmm
about it from that perspective too. That's how I approach business, at least. Like, yeah, I might have a
Yeah,
target audience, I might be making content for the culture, but whatever I
yeah.
put out there
yeah.
resonates with the world. I
Yeah,
don't put limits on myself.
absolutely. And I think, sometimes us as Black Americans, sometimes we don't take that blinder off. Sometimes from our culture, we think that we could only be successful if we serve our culture. When you think about the businesses that scale crazy and serve millions or billions of customers, it's not billions of Black Americans. So you're going to have to have some offerings for people that don't look like you in order to scale to that.
So, in the beginning of the interview, we also talked about how you are a father, a son, you work a 9 to 5, you have side businesses, entrepreneurship endeavors going on. Talk to me about time management. What is your number one tip for time management?
If it don't go on the calendar, it ain't gonna happen. So the first thing that I do, of course, you prioritize first. Like, is this even worthy of getting in the calendar? But things that are priority, I got to get them scheduled. Like you said, I got wife and kids, so I got to run that schedule by those two. In order to
Mhm.
ensure that it's going to work, because I do believe in professional and home life balance. So typically after 5, I'm unavailable if I can help it. Board meetings and some things that bleed into the evening, you can't reschedule, but for the most part, I try to be unavailable during that time. It's an important time for the family, and what I don't want to do is have my kids grow up, be 10 years down the road, and I ain't spend enough time when they were most
Definitely.
moldable, impressionable. They need to know who their father is, and expectations and presence is the best thing that we could do as parents.
In all the years that I've known AJ, which is literally his whole life because I'm older than him,
Yep.
I've
Yep.
never seen him stressed out. Do you ever get stressed?
You
Like
know,
you're
it's
always
funny, man.
happy,
Like,
smiling, go with the flow,
uh,
like make
uh,
time for people. Like,
absolutely. I
okay.
just think I handle my stress differently. So it's a couple things. The first thing that stressed me out to the max that I've never been stressed out this way before was when I pledged. Some of the concepts of pledging is to create the most uncomfortable environment for those individuals. But one of the outcomes of that is you control what you can control or control the controllables. Things that you can't control, I don't fret over those. Secondly, I know how disastrous it can be for a person that look like me to respond without thinking. I've been able to, through that, pledging experience, through my psychology experience, I've been able to always find a way to de-escalate myself. Maybe in some private moments, but my wife has kind of say the same thing. She hasn't seen me kind of flip out neither. I always tell her that it's easier in life to assume responsibility, even when you're not responsible for it. If you build up the practice of deflecting responsibility and accountability, it's only going to hinder you. Through those experiences and those practices, very few things will have me, I guess, visibly irate and stressed out. But absolutely, I'll get stressed. Shoot, I'm stressed out now.
I didn't know.
but
You hiding it.
it's trying to remain level-headed to get to the solution that you desire without adding more complexities to an already complex world. But best practices, I work out, run, stretch your body out. Stress lives in your muscles. So if you're not being active and detoxing, through activity, you're really compounding stress. Eventually, you're going to get overloaded to the point where you're going to lash out. So I try to decompress daily. Self-talk. I love the Kendrick album. I love who he is as an artist. A lot of what I take away from Kendrick is the patience with yourself, understanding that in the world full of the culture, it's okay to step back per se and isolate. For me, I decompress when I'm alone. Once I hit my social max, I already know like, I'm out of social time. Deuces, I need to go ahead and retreat back to the space. And I think, if I had the luxury of being a loner more, I probably would, but I don't have that luxury. So I have to be aware of when I'm meeting my peak. And then also, again, the coping, like I said, the coping strategy before, once I know I'm there, I got to get to a safe place where I could de-escalate it. Yeah, I think I more so deal with it internally as opposed to inviting people into my stress. I'm going to get a therapist.
I'm one of those people like normalized therapy in the Black culture. I don't have a therapist. I feel like I'm a very emotionally stable person. I know what I want in life. I'm sure I could benefit from it, but I just don't feel the urgent need for it right now. But I am still pro therapy, so I'm happy you said that.
Yeah, and I've been through some light therapy when it was coming, in the master's work. You got to do like mock therapy sessions, but a lot of times you got to come up with real content because you run out of fake things to use. So I also understand the practice of therapy and the strategies behind it. So I'm going to get one for the sake of it being the best practice. But I always tell people, I'm my own therapist for the most part. And I guess in some areas where I might not see where I'm, have a blinder on, I think it's just those tough conversations, especially if you see the reoccurring theme of, people you love telling you like, hey, you need to, if you hear that from enough places, you got to, have the ability to reflect and say, all right, I got to address it. And you're either going to address it or you're not going to address it. But for me, especially if it's coming from people I trust, I love, you address it and move on.
Okay, so if you're feeling down or in a bad mood or a little bit stressed out, what song or album instantly puts you in a good mood?
So what I do is I go to Pandora and I put on the prank calls, like the comedy. I start every day with a laugh. So every morning I wake up, I put it on the prank calls or I look for something funny because starting my days off with laughter, it helps relax me. So, most people might meditate, they might do some other things. But for me in this crazy world, I got to start off with a good laugh. With my first son, I made sure that he laughed a whole lot as a young kid, or even when he was, in his mom's stomach. We watched a lot of comedies and did that type of stuff. He has a great sense of humor. So he's always the type of kid who's playing, a little prankster and ready to have a good laugh, especially for young Black males. You got to be able to have a light heart, laugh, take it day by day in this crazy world. So when I'm stressed out, I gotta laugh.
I love that. You're the first person to say that. I've done like 24 interviews and you are the first person to say that. So
what other people say? What other people say?
Nothing about starting their day with a laugh. They talk about, I listen to some Rick Ross. I listen to some Big Sean, trap music, meditation music. Everybody's answer has been a little bit different. That's why I always like to ask. Do you have a mentor for business or any other aspect of life?
I'm going to say I have many mentors for business, for government, for marriage, for fatherhood, for friendships. And then I have indirect mentors, right? Like you have people that you could see through culture. So when I say Jay-Z in business practices, like he gave us the game for $9.99 on 444. And if you listen to it, he really gives you some valuable gems that from a mentorship standpoint, somebody who's lived it, they've done it. I take inspiration from those who I've never met as well.
Okay, so when I think about a mentor, I think about somebody with a lived experience, somebody who may be in the position that I desire to be in, but then I also think about that person needs to be relatable. Like I have to be able to connect with them on some level. What other things do you look for in a mentor?
I think those same things, but then
that's all right. If I'm good, tell me I'm good, cuz.
No,
you ain't gotta build on it no more if I'm good.
No, I think all of those things are what you would want in a mentor. Somebody who walked that mile, somebody who's overcome and been successful. I would just ask someone who remained themselves through it too, because
authenticity. Yes, that theme resonated through this interview. So I like that.
A lot of people evolve and change, who they are and what they really feel. I'm inspired by people, again, like Kendrick, who remains themselves through Pulitzer Prize, Pulitzer Prize winner, all of this Uber success. But the man goes months without cell phone. And it's just like, like he's not self-marketing. He barely on social media. When he entered the game, he knew who he was and he knew who he wasn't going to become. So I like to look for people like that who never change and stay true to who they are, who their parents raised them to be, who their family expect them to be, but have achieved some success in their life.
We talked about Endless Opportunities. We talked about Midwest Tech Project. AJ is also part of Team Ambiance and this Motu Lakeshore project and a bunch of other things. So as I said earlier, this is like one of many interviews. We want to invite AJ back to the Currency Club to have some follow-up conversations and encourage
Absolutely.
the audience to watch the other interviews in this series. But
Yeah.
is there anything you want to cover before we take off?
Well, to that point, I think you said it beautifully. All of those prior things have helped evolve me into a place to enter the hospitality industry, to have the only Black-owned liquor license establishment in downtown Grand Rapids. Well, our second project is going to be the only Black-owned liquor license establishment in Muskegon, Michigan.
Let me just pause and say kudos to you and the team and the gang. I know all the other guys who are part of Ambiance. I'd be in the background cheering for you and them like, yes,
and you pulling up soon. So,
I am. I can't wait. Literally on my calendar.
We definitely rolling out that red carpet for you.
But I missed the grand opening because I'm in Houston, but I was like, yes, thank you for the invite, fam. I'm gonna be there. As soon as I touch back down to Michigan, I'm coming.
We couldn't be more proud of those projects because, again, I kind of already prefaced this with, we live in one of the worst places economically for African Americans, and all of us have had prior projects to these projects where we learned a lot, and we've also been able to witness a ton of liquor license establishments in our city that didn't survive. And then you gotta, kind of ask the question why. Yeah, ask the question why they didn't survive. For us, the value to your audience member, I would say, building any business is the team, and we've been able to assemble a solid team that is super versatile. And
tell them who on your team. Y'all got an all-star team, cuz.
So for Team Ambiance, we led by the big homie, the veteran in the industry, Mr. Lacey Jones, another very well-known veteran in the rap game, affiliates, DJ Drama, Mr. Willie the Kid, Jonathan Jokes, the icon, Jamil Robinson. We call him the Beanie Siegel, the Broad Street business bully, Jamal Chilton, intellect, very distinguished brother who's been in global business, Fortune 100 company, and then myself for Ambiance. So
the brain power, the Black excellence.
I just want to highlight us coming together, right? Like, we want to be a model for our people across the country to come together where it makes sense, build teams that look like you, that are multi-talented and versatile. It's going to require setting some ego to the side. Whatever the project is, in order to get the best outcome from your project, we need to build businesses that look like us and, enable to change the trajectory of places that we live in and do some good business.
Do great business. There is power in numbers. We are better together. Share resources, share knowledge, all that. But another thing that's special about your team is that I have a connection with all of them except Jay Chill. I don't know him that well. I plan to. I'm invited to be a guest on the Currency Club.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So Jonathan Jokes was like an informal mentor to me in the past. Like, we would meet up for lunch at a couple spots on Wealthy and Grand Rapids. We just talk about life. He'd give me tips, recommendations, ask me where I want to be in life, how he can help. He was like that informal mentor to me who always spoke highly of me in the community when some other people didn't back in my ratchet days.
He's a beautiful brother, man. Like, that brother has been able to gain so much experience and
influence,
network. Experience. He's empowering. He's authentically himself. One thing I appreciate most about him, I remember the first time we went into like a meeting together, and he had on a baseball hat, a fitted cap, and like a nice jacket. And me, I'm on my corporate stuff, so I got a suit on.
You had a suit on, your black suit. Yeah. You had a black suit, a little tie.
And I just looked at him. We were able to have a great meeting, move forward with business. He did it his way. I really always appreciated that from him, because one thing that, he says is we got to teach others how to do business with us, as opposed to us trying to assimilate to do business the way that others feel that business should be done. The team is very talented, special, unique, and he's one of the brothers that, to your point, has always been a big brother / mentor to me as well.
So Willie the Kid, y'all, I don't know Willie that well, but I did a video for Willie at this point in my life, like back in the day. I was aspiring model, right? And Jonathan connected me with Willie, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my bro shooting a video." So Willie the Kid has always been super supportive. Appreciate Willie.
I'm gonna say, and he's college educated, man. He went to
Okay.
Clark Atlanta, so like he's a design guy, marketing guy. He has the brilliance of the traditional education, and he's able to
Yep.
articulate that into words for a successful hip hop career with features from some of your favorite artists.
So Jonathan and Willie both started GR USA, which is also one of my favorite brands, like the fitted
Mhm,
hats and the Uptown and
mhm.
all that. I love that
Yep.
movement. Yeah, so I was also gonna say that Lacey Jones, back in my aspiring model days, Lacey was like one of the first promoters in Grand Rapids, managers, promoters, person in the hospitality industry to like acknowledge me, support me, big up me, put me on his
Yeah.
flyers. You want to come
Yeah.
through, Whitney? I got a VIP section for you and your girls. So I'll
Yep.
forever be a fan of Lacey Jones and
Yeah. No
respect
doubt.
him for all he's done.
Man, and he's super special because there's nothing he hasn't seen in the industry, right? We come in with, eyes wide open. We super, smiling from ear to ear, and he giving us
Yes.
the real of what it's going to take to be successful. He knows because he's been there. So we appreciate his leadership because, in the moments that we might be overly ambitious or in the moments that we're kind of blind to the realities of this industry and the business, he's able to bring us back down to earth, help us, strategize and effectively move forward. So you always need somebody on your team who's been there, done that, but also still has the energy and the passion to do it again.
And we can't forget Jamil Robinson. I'm also a fan of Jamil Robinson. I used to work with him, for him at the YMCA, right? Back in my day, helping at-risk youth, serving my community. I worked with him in the teen zone at the YMCA. Like he told
Yeah,
me about the concept. I used to help him write some things. We used to like
yeah,
just talk about his vision before it is what
yeah.
it is today. So that was dope too.
And one thing I appreciate about that brother is he is 100% himself. Some moments that require straight truth. The versatility of the team is you can send people to different places. So when you try being diplomatic, you got to send somebody some hard truth.
Mm-hmm.
You let Brother Robinson come in. And his truth is rooted in historical experiences of our people, the historical losses his grandfather had in business, from owning property downtown to not, now the family not having that property. Whether it's Tulsa, Black Wall Street, he's a wealth of knowledge for
Yes.
our people and experiences. And you always need somebody that, as my dad or say, straight, no chaser. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Give it to you straight up. Sometimes the other side, they can't reconcile with that
Yep.
because we live in this West Michigan nice world where you talk around indirectly, smile, really just lie for the most part.
Mm.
He's one of the person who's always authentic and directly
And
when it comes.
unapologetic. You know my favorite word, unapologetic.
Yeah, he unapologetic for sure, and you need that on your team as well in order to
Okay.
survive in some of the communities that we're representing.
I know you love me and I love you, but I took a lot of your time today, cuz. So I'm gonna go ahead and
No
wrap
doubt.
the interview up. I'm gonna bring us
Cool.
home. And
Yeah.
thank you for your time, energy,
Thank you for
insights.
all of your coaching leading me up to
Yes.
this, your professionalism for your interviews. There's no secret why you're going to be successful in what you're doing when it comes to the Currency Club.
Thank
You keep
you.
doing the great work that you're doing, sharing stories, highlighting people that deserve the recognition, and also
Yes.
sharing that information to help another entrepreneur or even, someone who's currently employed looking to advance in their
Yes.
current occupation. So kudos to you in the Currency Club.
Thank you. We are here to educate, motivate, and inspire. Thank you for that affirmation. But before you go, I need you to leave the viewers with an inspirational message.
Man, I was thinking about this. I said, what I'm gonna say that's gonna be profound and help people, empower them in this space. But find comfort in being uncomfortable, and if you're comfortable, you're not gonna ever reach who you're destined to be. So find the spaces that make you most uncomfortable and address them head on. If you really have the aspiration to, some people it's monetary where they want to make a certain amount of dollars. Some people it's credentials. Whatever that is for you, you got to do something different than what you're doing today. I just encourage movement in that direction. Any movement is good movement because as you're moving, you're going to learn. And, some people view it as a loss, is really a lesson, but you got to be able to accept that lesson and then implement. So get out here, man. Make it happen. Don't let those ideas sit in your mind. It's, the best ideas are in the graveyard because people die with them. Get it out, get into the world. Everything I asked for from the universe, I got. Beware what you wish for too.
Not
Once you
everything
get
I
it,
said I was gonna get.
it's
Nipsey
it's
song
still
just played
it's
in my
still
head.
something. It's still something I ain't got yet, but we working towards it.
Well, we're gonna invite you to the Currency Club to come back when you do get whatever it is you're working for, so you can tell
Well,
us
I'm
the
gonna be
journey to
honest,
that.
cause it's just money. So
You trying to touch a M? Is
nah,
that
it's
what it
gonna have
is,
to
or
be.
is
It's
billions?
10 to 20s of millions for me to feel like I've met the potential who I aspire to be. It's definitely upwards of 10. I don't have to have a billion. That's
Okay.
cute. that's what kind of the culture is saying right now. But that shit is hard. For me, like I've been able to achieve everything besides make a shit ton of money. Yeah,
Everything is emotion. It's coming. We're not gonna
absolutely.
rush it because you're gonna
Yeah,
have it forever when it does come.
absolutely. Here goes something else for your people. Take care of your paperwork. You got loved ones, your will, your estate. Too many people acquire assets and have things of value, then they forget that piece. Then that piece gets tied up in court. Lawyers milk it, and your people get very little at the end. So yeah, take care of your paperwork too.
All right, so I want to thank AJ for his time and attention once again. And for all those watching, I want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button to join the club.